Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto united with all Jinchuriki together when he was kid, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Egghead Cobra, link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. 2 weeks later, Yujiro and B were standing in front of the gate entrance to the Cloud Village carrying backpacks for their trip, and alongside Demure and Nabue. They begin speaking. This is going to be a long mission for both of you. His expression changes to a serious one. And I highly hope you don't come back empty-handed. You hear me? Yujiro and B speak respectively. We won't, Lord Reikage. You got it, bro. Nabue then speaks. As stated before, both of you have 1 month to recruit the tailed beast containers. Once you find them, report to Turtle Island and send us a messenger bird so that we can report there. We want to give them our greetings. They continues. If your month is up or if you aren't able to recruit any of them, you are to report back to this village and I'll mark this mission as a failure. Yujiro swallows hard at this, and A looks at her, saying you understand the consequences of this, right Yujiro? You're not exactly one to fail a mission or come back empty-handed. And if that happens, you're gonna have to put up with some serious makeup assignments if you make this a huge waste of my time. Yujiro widens her eyes a bit but responds, nervously. I won't, Lord Reikage. I'll make this worth your while. Bei says. I hope so. Now, what will your plans be for your journey? Yujiro regains her composure and speaks. We'll head west to the hidden waterfall village to recruit Fu. Then we'll head a bit further to the west and recruit Han. After that, we'll head south to the sand village and recruit Gar. And, as for Naruto Uzumaki, I've started to get second thoughts about recruiting him. He doesn't know about his status, and the Hokage forbade me from mentioning it to the young one. They stays quiet for a few seconds. He then speaks. If there's one thing I know about the third Hokage, is that he wants what's best for his village and the people in it. I know for a fact that he'll give Naruto what is best for him, and let him live with them. Even if knowing of his status will ruin things for him, I can guarantee that he will be happy living with you. Yujiro says. I hope you're right, Lord Reikage. They turns to B, and says. B, you better not make Yujiro or yourself look bad with your rapping while recruiting them. It'll make you look like you're not taking your job seriously, and the village leaders will not be convinced of lending you their containers if you rap in front of them, so you better keep your rapping, as minimum, as possible. B, well annoyed by keeping his rapping to a minimum, responds. Alright, my brother. I'll try not to rap. Bei says. I hope so. Now, both of you, go on. You have 4 countries to wander. Nabue smiles at Yujiro and B, and says. Good luck out there, you two. I'm pretty excited to meet these people. Yujiro replies. Thank you Nabue. We will see you in at least a month. They nods, and with that, Yujiro and B leave the gates of the Cloud Village and exit the territory. Yujiro starts a conversation. Hey B. B asks. What's up, ma girl? I never got to ask you this, but what made you want to help me find them? B crosses his arms and replies normally. I have the same interests as you, Yuki girl. I may not look it, but I also want to show them that they can get the respect we worked hard to gain. Is that so? Well, I'm glad to see you care just as much as I do. B uncrosses his arms and raps. Not as much as you, but you can see I do. Either way, we're on the same page. B continues rapping. You said we're going to the waterfall first. We better get there in a burst. I wouldn't worry about getting there quickly. We have enough time. Besides, there aren't a whole lot of trees to jump across, and we need to cross the lightning desert too. Let's take it slowly and steadily, so that we don't arrive tired of the waterfall or the other villages. Whatever you say, Yugi sis. With that, they continue their journey to the village hidden in the waterfall. For the rest of the trip, Yujiro and B decided to talk about old times. Their childhood, how they met, the time they spent together, and the mission that got them the Cloud Village's respect. Yujiro and B were very good friends, and spent their childhood together. B was like the older brother that Yujiro never had. He was always there for her, watching over her, taking care of her, and even inspired her to stand up strong, and prove herself to those who gave her a miserable childhood. Yujiro and B had a sister-brother relationship, and were both very happy with it. He may not show it, and never admitted it, but he treasured his time with Yujiro all those years ago, and it's something he would never let go of. Yujiro was open about it, and always told B how happy she was to have met him. B never told her back, he was too prideful, but deep inside, he felt the same. He was glad he met his younger sister. They managed to cross the lightning desert after a 5-hour walk, only resting 2 times. After finally exiting the lightning desert, they entered the smaller countries, and made stops in the smaller villages, mainly for food and drinks, but they were mostly traveling. They didn't spend much time in the villages. While Yujiro did say to take it slowly, neither of them felt tired just yet, so they continued traveling until night fell. It took them 2 days, but they managed to arrive at the waterfall village. They were standing in front of the waterfall that was blocking the entrance to the village. As they approached the waterfall, two waterfall shinobi stopped them. Halt. One of the shinobi commanded. I need identification and your reason for being here. Yujiro handed her ID. Yujiro Nai. B handed him. Killer B in the house, homie. The second waterfall shinobi looked at B's ID with a questionable look on his face. I'm Killer B. B answers. That's right, fool. You fool. Both shinobi stood quiet after that, but Yujiro spoke. Let's get right on topic. We wish to speak to the leader of your village. Both of the shinobi hand Yujiro and B their IDs back, and the first shinobi speaks for what purpose. Yujiro answers. To recruit an unwanted shinobi of yours. The second shinobi looks at the first. Could be talking about her. The first shinobi agrees. Well, nobody wants that thing in here anyways. Hearing the word thing angered Yujiro on the inside. When she and B were children, most people called them a thing, or a demon, treating them as if they weren't human. Yujiro never tolerated that. The shinobi speaks. Alright Yujiro Nai, Killer B. We'll let you speak to Lord Getetsu. Follow us. Both of the waterfall shinobi did 3 hand signs, before aiming their left hands, and yelling water style. Water division jutsu. As they yelled that, the first waterfall shinobi was pulling half of the waterfall to the right, while the second waterfall shinobi was splitting it to the left. They didn't open the entire waterfall, just enough for all 4 of them to enter. The second shinobi spoke. Let's go. The waterfall automatically closes in 10 seconds. With that, the 4 of them ran in the waterfall, and stood in a cave behind it. 10 seconds pass, and the waterfall closes. They proceed walking through the cave. The cave wasn't very long, as it only took them 3 minutes to walk out through the other side. They then witnessed the village hidden behind the waterfall. The village itself was small, and didn't stick out as much, but what was really breathtaking was the giant tree behind the village. The 4 of them begin walking towards the village, and the first waterfall shinobi speaks. Miss Nai. If I may ask, for what purpose do you want that demon? Everybody hates her. What makes your thoughts different? Yujiro answers. Those will be answers I will give to your leader. Not to be rude, but you wouldn't understand. Both of the shinobi roll their eyes, and proceed walking through the village, and towards the waterfall village leader's main building. They arrive after a few minutes, and they knock on the door to the leader's office, only to hear you may come in. As they opened the door, and walked in, they see the village leader doing paperwork, who looks up, and sees the 4 of them. The first waterfall shinobi spoke. Lord Getetsu, these 2 cloud ninjas wish to speak to you. Getetsu remembers Yujiro, but gives B a questionable look. Getetsu begins speaking. Ah Yujiro Nai. Nice to see you again. And I see you brought a friend. B points at Getetsu in a really gangster way, saying, Yo. Yujiro says, this is Killer B. A good comrade of mine. We are here to ask for a small request. Getetsu asks, and what will that be? Yujiro begins talking. Me and B are both aware that you have a hold of the 7-tailed, known as Furu. What business do you want with that thing? Hearing the word thing again makes Yujiro's right eye twitch, but keeps her cool. We kindly request if we could recruit her, and take her with us to the Cloud Village. He nods in agreement, and Getetsu asks, is that so? I'm surprised that there are people in the 5 nations who would want to get close to that demon. Why would such a thought occur to you? Yujiro answers, we are on a mission to bring all of them together, and give them the life they deserve. I can't tolerate that they are being treated the way they are. I want to show Furu, and the rest of the containers that they can get the respect they deserve. Well, I'm glad somebody wants to do something about that. Everybody in the village hates that demon, including myself. I even forbidden my son Shibuki to talk to her. You have my full permission to recruit her. I don't care what happens to her, and neither does the council. They wouldn't want to have a meeting that's about her, anyway. So you can take her today if you want. His words slowly made Yujiro angrier and angrier. She didn't show it facially, but her blood was boiling at the fact that he was talking bad about her fellow. B could see that she was getting angry. Getetsu continues. Good luck finding her, though. She's not allowed in the village, so she mostly spends her time in the forest. I don't know where in the forest, and I don't care either. Yujiro tried to keep herself calm, and spoke. We'll find her. Thank you, sir. That's all for today. She turns around, and walks to the exit. Have a good one. He follows her, and closes the door to the office. While they were walking towards the direction of the forest, Yujiro finally showed her an angry expression on her face. He starts talking normally. You should try to calm down, Yuki sis. Yujiro says with a bit of anger in her voice. I can't be. How dare he talk bad about someone who is blood, flesh, and bones like all of us. It's not fair that not even the village leader, or the council, care about her. If it's like this for the other. Yujiro didn't finish her sentence, as she didn't want to think about that at the moment. She then says, let's just look for her. Lord Getetsu said she's somewhere in the forest. B responds, you got it. They proceed walking to the forest's direction, and they stop in front of it. The forest was quite large, and was surrounded by many trees, but like Yujiro and B, they wouldn't get lost so easily. Just then, Yujiro started focusing her tailed beast chakra on her ears. Blue auras started appearing in her ears, taking the form of cat-like ears, with blue fire leaking out of both ears. This was done to extend and improve the hearing in Yujido's ears. This allows her to hear perfectly, and the distance of her hearing is at least half a mile. She and B stayed quiet for a minute so that she could. Yujido speaks. I hear breathing from the east. Only one person. That must be her. Let's go. Yujido jumps onto a tree, with B following behind. They begin jumping from tree to tree to get closer to breathing. It was indeed getting closer. Yujido jumps down a tree, B following her, and they stop in front of an entrance in a hill. Yujido says, the breathing is coming from here. Be prepared for anything, B. Who knows if she might ambush us? B says in a prideful way. I'm always prepared, Yuki girl. Yujido only smirks at that, but before they can enter, Yujido steps on something. She looks down. She notices she stepped on a Waterfall Village forehead protector, and picks it up. She wonders, a forehead protector. Could this be hers? B just shrugs, and they walk inside. They see a small river surrounding a tree, and a little dome inside the tree. Yujido and B see a young girl sitting inside the tree, hugging her knees, with her eyes closed. She had short mint green hair, and a somewhat revealing white outfit, sleeves, and sandals. It seemed as if she was deep in thought. Whispers, that must be her right there. Maybe we shouldn't approach her so. But B says out loud, yo, Minty, come out here. This causes Yujido to fasten him, and the girl to snap out of her stupor. B continues. We found your headband, if it's yours. You want it back. The girl stands up on her feet and walks out of her dome. She begins speaking. Who are you? What are you doing here? This is my home. No one's allowed here. Yujido says. Calm down, we just want to talk. The girl responds. Yeah, that's what they all say. And those who want to talk always end up hurting me. Now go away before I hurt you. Yujido starts taking steps forward and asks. Your name is Fuu, is that correct? The girl responds. I'm telling you. Get away. She makes 3 hand signs water style. Water sword. A water sword forms on her right hand and aims it at Yujido. You have one last chance to leave before I hurt you. Yujido knew that simple talk wouldn't go anywhere, so she cut straight to the point. And you carry a heavy burden. A burden that makes everyone hate you, or hurt you, yes. Fuu asks. What do you know about that? Why would you give a shit, anyways? Yujido kindly smiles. I'm glad you asked. You and I, we're alike. We have gone through that same hellhole known as loneliness and hate. Everyone that looked at us saw us as things and demons, something that's not true at all. We're not demons, we just have them sealed inside of us. Fuu harshly asks. Take that stupid smile off your face. And what do you mean we? He walks up to them and speaks. Isn't it obvious? We're just like you, Minty. This causes Fuu to whiten her eyes, but then show an angered expression again, and get a tighter grip of her water sword. You're right, you liars. You know how many people have lied to me so that they can get amusement out of my sorrow. Yujido asks. Should I prove to you that I'm just like you? Fuu responds. Yeah, like you would have any proof. Yujido grabs a hold of her shirt and lifts it up, revealing her belly. Fuu looks at her, as if she was crazy, but then her eyes widen once again, and drops her water sword, which dispels into water. She stares at Yujido's belly, and sees a very familiar set of seals on her. Yujido begins speaking. You have a familiar seal like this on your belly, is that correct? Fuu stays still for a moment, but then slowly nods. Yujido pulls down her shirt, and asks. Is that proof enough for you? Fuu stutters, but says. And more than enough. Yujido jumps over the small river, and walks closer to Fuu. Yujido smiles once again. My name is Yujido Nai, and I hold the 2-tailed cat. Fuu talks nervously. As you already know, I'm Fuu, and I hold the 7-tailed horned beetle. Killer B, from across the river, introduces himself. Yo, Lil 7. Killer B is rapping his way to you, and I hold the 8-tailed ox. Fuu looks at him with a raised eyebrow, but Yujido speaks. Never mind his rapping. But he's right about the tailed beast he holds. Fuu looks back at Yujido, and Yujido begins talking. Let's get back on topic. I'm sure you're wondering why we're here, right? Fuu nods, and replies. Yeah, are you sure you're not gonna hurt me? Yujido responds. I'm positive Fuu, I'm completely aware of what you are going through. I might not know the exact details of your events, but pain, suffering, and loneliness has been the bane of your existence. It was my bane for nearly 23 years. But you know something. Despite what I went through, I was inspired to stand up strong, and prove to my village that I was not just a demon, or a thing, but a human being just like them. Fuu stays quiet, and listens to her words. Yujido continues. I know you're still young, still inexperienced, and I know that every single person in the village hates you. She puts both of her hands on Fuu's shoulders, and looks her straight in the eye. Which is why me and B are here to demonstrate to you that there are people like you who have either gone, or are going through your progress. To demonstrate that you aren't alone. To show you that you can still live a life free of loneliness and suffering. Fu, come with us, and we will grant you what you deserve. These words make Fu release tears out of her eyes and stutter as she asks, "You promise?" Yujito smiles and answers, "I will do more than I promised. Now please, that beautiful face of yours doesn't need to hide under those tears." Fu smiles and embraces Yujito with a tight hug while she continues releasing tears out of her eyes. B stands proudly for Yujito and smiles as Yujito pats Fu's head. After a minute of silence, Fu releases Yujito and looks up to her. Fu begins talking. "But what about Gotetsu? Or the council?" Yujito answers, "Gotetsu already told me he doesn't care what happens to you, and neither does the council. I could take you with me if I wish. By that embrace you just gave me, I take it you will come with us." Fu wipes the tears off her eyes and keeps smiling. "Yes, I will. I would love to leave this hellhole behind." Yujito says, "Good. We'll leave right away. Is there anything you'd like to take with you before you leave?" Fu answers, "Just one thing. I'll be right back." Fu heads inside the tree again and immediately comes back out. She comes out carrying a red cylinder-shaped backpack. Fu states, "This is the only thing that I really have that I can take with me. Now we can go." Yujito responds, "Alright. Then let's move on. We have to recruit the rest of them. Fu was surprised to hear this. "Wait, we're gonna go find the other." Yujito answers, "That's right." This brings a lot of hope into Fu's heart. Knowing how she lived through such a terrible life, she becomes hopeful that getting to know the rest of them will give her her very first friends. She excitedly asks, "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get moving." Yujito responds, "Right away." The three of them exit Fu's hiding spot and out of the forest. As the waterfall village comes to their sight, Fu's heart nervously starts beating fast. You said your name is Yujito, right?" Yujito answers, "That's right." "Well, could we go round the village and not through it? I'm actually pretty scared of their glares, or that they might throw something at me. Please." He responds to that instead. "Don't worry, Lil 7. He then raps, "Me and Yujito got you back. With us around, they won't give you a scratch." Fu's sweat drops to what he just said. What?" Yujito explains to her. "What he's trying to say is that we won't let the villagers hurt you when you have us to protect you." Fu nervously adds in, "That's very nice of both of you, but please, that village left me traumatized. Please let's go around. I beg you." Yujito takes a deep breath, but kindly responds, "Alright Fu. We'll go around." Fu's heartbeat slows down as she hears those words. "Thanks. I really don't want to go back there." The three of them walk around the village and arrive at the cave that leads to the exit of the village. They approach the waterfall that was blocking the entrance, and the two waterfall shinobi from previously seeing them arrive. The first waterfall shinobi starts talking. "I see you two are taking that little devil out of the village. I'm glad." He stares at Fu. "It's about time. Nobody wants you here." Fu turns her head to the side, and Yujito irritatedly adds in, "Please just open the waterfall so that we can leave." "HMPH," was all the shinobi said. With that, he and his partner begin splitting the waterfall in half. The second shinobi adds in, "There. Now get out of our village, you filth." Fu hides her eyes under shadows, and Yujito fists her hands in anger, while B doesn't give out any expression. The three containers walk through the waterfall, and it automatically closes. For the first time in her life, Fu could finally see the outside of the village, and couldn't help but smile. Yujito then talks. She shows Fu her waterfall forehead protector. "We found this outside of your hiding spot. I don't know if you want it back." Fu slowly grabs her forehead protector, and looks at it in anger. She throws it into the river, and sinks down. She adds in, "There's a reason I threw it on the ground before you met me. Besides, I'm no longer a ninja of that shithole." Yujito responds, "As you like then. Let's get moving. We have the other to recruit." Fu happily says, "Right behind you." They begin walking down the path and into the forest. B begins talking normally. "We're gonna get along just fine, Lil 7. Lord B's gone make sure you feel right at home." Fu's sweat drops again, and says, "I can't take you seriously by the way you talk, Bumblebee." B corrects her. "It's Killer B, Minty." Fu also corrects. "And it's Fu, not Minty." Yujito smiles at their conversation, and looks ahead, thinking, "One down, 3 more to go." The following events took place 3 weeks ago. It was a cloudy day in the land of stone, and Yujito was making her way to the stone village to deliver a few scrolls and supplies. She was walking peacefully through the large stones that surrounded her, and had been traveling for about 3 hours, non-stop. She decides to take a quick break and eat a small meal before she continues her journey. Yujito says to herself, "I'm fairly close to the stone village, but I'm exhausted. A little break wouldn't hurt. Good thing I bought food at the waterfall village." Yujito unpacks her lunchbox, unveiling 3 rice bowls. She grabs one of them, but before she could take a bite, she feels a drop of water fall on her face. She looks upwards, and notices that it is going to start raining. Drops were coming down faster and faster. Right when I was about to take my break. She looked around to see if there was any shelter around her. Knowing that she was surrounded by nothing but stones, thoughts came to her mind that maybe she wasn't going to find any sort of shelter in a place like this, but luck got to her when she found a small cave behind her. Yes. She ran towards the cave, and entered, and looked out the cave. I hate getting wet in the rain. If it wasn't for this cave, I would have just ended up running for it. It was already raining cats and dogs outside. She turns around to sit down, and enjoys her meal, but then notices a few supplies in the cave. Supplies. She slowly turns around. This might be someone's. When she completely turns around, she sees a very tall man standing in front of her. The man was wearing red armor, a red straw hat, and a mask, with a dark gray kimono shirt on, a furnace on his back which released steam every once in a while, and over light brown eyes. His garments were all wet, thanks to the rain, and he seemed rather unhappy. Yujiro responds. Oh, she points with her right thumb. This must be your home, is that right? The man only kept staring at her. Well, I guess I should get. Before she could finish her sentence, the man speaks. Would you care to stay for a break? Oh? That would be very kind of you, but I don't want to be a bother. It's no problem at all. Have a seat. Oh, thank you. After a few minutes, the man starts a small campfire. The armored giant was sitting in front of the campfire, with his legs and arms crossed, while Yujiro was sitting on the other side of the campfire, with her knees in front of her, and was already halfway done with her rice bowl. Yujiro decides to start a conversation. Thank you again, for allowing me to share your home, as the rain goes by. The giant didn't say anything, he only kept observing her. Yujiro found it weird, but she returned to eating her rice bowl. That's when the man decided to speak. There's something different about you. Yujiro looks at him, and raises an eyebrow. Different? What would your definition of different be? As if there's something deep inside you that holds a lot of power. Something doesn't seem normal about you, but I think I might have an idea of what it could be. Yujiro lowers her rice bowl, puts it back inside her lunchbox, and she lowers her legs, so that she could get a better look at him. She questions. How are you so sure there's something different about me? Because there's something deep inside of me telling me that. This causes Yujiro to raise both of her eyebrows, a bit surprised. She wonders in her thoughts. He couldn't mean. He continues. There's a huge burden I carry inside of me. Inside my very own body. A burden that everybody in my village came to despise me for. And that burden is telling me that you carry something just as similar. This causes Yujiro's eyes to widen. You mean, you're the Jinchuriki? That's correct. Yujiro looks at him in surprise. You're not lying, are you? Is there any reason for me to lie? Which one? The 5-tailed dolphin horse. And you? The 2-tailed cat. The man nods. Your status is actually the reason why I let you take a break in my home. I'd usually just kick out anybody who's in here. Or worse. Worse? I'd rather not get into that right now. Oh? By the way, my name is Yujiro Nai. Han. She smiles. It's a pleasure to meet you, Han. It's not very common for me to meet others. I feel neutral. What brings you around here? I'm on a long list of missions. I was just on my way to the stone village before I decided to take a break. That is until this rain stopped me. I hate getting wet in the rain. Just like a cat, eh? You could say that. You obviously must be from the stone village, right? Correct. I left because of how everybody treated me. I gained nothing but hatred, betrayal, suffering, what any would go through. I absolutely despise humanity because of that. I understand. As you probably might figure, I went through the same thing. Pain, sorrow, I shed so many tears. I'm thankful I didn't end up hating everybody, though. I was able to prove myself to my village. You know? I've always wanted to know how it would be like having all of us living together like a family. If I would have to be honest, that would have to be one of my achievements. That would be a wonderful thought, Han. Maybe somebody should find them all, and bring them together. Han uncrosses his arms. That reminds me. There's something I wanted to say about the topic, but I can't remember. What was it? He puts his thumb and index finger on the chin of his mask, in a thinking position. Yujiro only stares at him, as he tries to think of what he wanted to say. Han then says. No. Can't remember. Forgive me, I happen to have a rather flawed memory. It's alright. Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself? Han smiles under his mask. For a fellow, gladly. Yujiro and Han started discussing their lives with each other. Han told Yujiro of how his parents abandoned him and left the stone village after he gained his status when he was 4 years old. How he was paired up with a group of 2 female teammates and a female sensei. He felt admittedly embarrassed of sharing that with Yujiro. However, one of his teammates fell in love with him, and he returned the feelings for her. But his whole world turned upside down when she gave her life away, trying to save him in the 3rd Great Ninja War. His sensei and his other partner blamed him for her death. Han wouldn't normally be comfortable discussing his background with anyone, but seeing as Yujiro is who would understand, he shared his history with her. Yujiro shared her life with Han as well, and they talked for an hour, then the rain started to stop. With that, Yujiro picked up her items and got ready to leave. Yujiro says, "Well, it's time for me to take my leave. I had a good time talking to you, Han." Han says, "I feel the same. You may feel free to stop by my home anytime you'd like. You are very welcome." Yujiro smiles at that. They both shake hands, and Yujiro makes her way to the stone village. Han was in his thoughts. "I'm still wondering about what I wanted to tell her. Meh, it'll show up in my thoughts eventually." In the present day, the three make it past the borderline that separated the land of earth and the land of waterfalls. During their walk, Fu was sharing information about herself, her life, the tailed beast he carries, and how she was able to survive by herself. Yujiro and B also shared their information with her. Their lives in the Cloud Village, how they met, and the missions and adventures they have gone through. After walking for an hour, Yujiro decided they should stop at a village to give Fu something to eat. When they did stop at a restaurant in a village, Fu asked for the most expensive thing on the menu, and much to Yujiro and B's dismay, they decided to buy it for her. When they sat down, Fu was eating her food slowly, calmly, and with much delight. Yujiro begins talking. "Be thankful, Fu. We're not usually ones to buy such expensive food. But seeing as you didn't get a whole lot of food back in your village, we decided to grant you what you wanted." B wonders. "Yuki girl, that doesn't mean we'll buy expensive food for each other, right? We ain't made of money, you know." Yujiro smiles in an embarrassed way. I know. I didn't think about that when Fu asked me to buy her something so expensive. Fu, you'll be the first and last one will buy expensive food too. Also, don't ask for food like that again." Fu smiles happily. That makes Fu feel kind of special. "And don't worry, Yujiro. You and Killer B already did a good deed and took Fu out of that village. And for that, Fu really must thank you." She gives out a kind and innocent smile. For someone who spent all of her life unhappy, Fu had a very beautiful smile. It wasn't often that she smiled, but when she did, it was a very sweet and innocent smile. Yujiro notices something odd about the way Fu was talking. "Why suddenly talk in third person?" Fu answers, "Oh, there are times where I like talking in third person. Especially when I'm happy. I'm happy at really rare times, though. I thought it would be a really neat way to speak." Yujiro says, "Well, it is really neat. I never thought of doing that." Fu smiles again. Her smile made Yujiro feel satisfied. She herself didn't smile a lot either due to her unhappy past. It was B who helped her bring a smile and joy on her face, and it made Yujiro feel a whole lot better about herself. Seeing a fellow smile satisfied her more than anything. She felt as if she accomplished something important. Yujiro smiles and says, "Oh, and you're very welcome, Fu. Anything for our new friend?" Fu asks, "So hey, what are the others like?" Yujiro answers, "I've only met two of them besides you. There's Han, a very independent man who lives by himself outside of his home village. He's the one we'll be going to recruit next. Then there's Naruto Uzumaki. He's a year younger than you, and I talked to him one day. He's very hyperactive and very alive, despite his background. He has a pretty big dream of becoming Hokage. We'll be recruiting him last, but I've been having second thoughts. He's the only one I know of that doesn't know about his status, so now, I'm not sure if I should recruit him." Fu adds in, "Not only that, but you'd be taking away his dream of becoming Hokage." "Yes, that too. But there's no harm in getting to see him one last time. Is he the only one, as young as Fu?" "Well, there's also Gar from the Sand Village. He's the same age as Naruto. I haven't met him personally, but I heard of him when I was at his home village. I heard he doesn't have a very easy attitude, so getting along with him won't be easy." Fu responds, "Ah, okay. I guess you can treat them like my two little brothers, then. I mean, if that Gar kid allows it." Yujiro corrects, "It's Gar." Fu shrugs, "Meh, same thing." She then comes to a realization. "Wait, you said he's from the Sand Village. As a village surrounded by nothing but sand and heat, really hot weather." Yujiro teases her, "Oh, don't tell me you're afraid of a bit of sand. It's not the sand Fu's worried about, it's the heat. Fu really hates hot weather." She crosses her arms and makes a pouty face. B says, "Don't worry, Minty. We just go and get Lil One and get out of there." Fu says unamused, "I hope it goes by quickly. I'm not used to hot temperatures." "Oh, another question. How many are there?" Yujiro answers, "There's 9 of us in total. You, me, B, the 3 I just mentioned, plus 3 more. One of them is Ugur, the current Mizukage, but he's become a dictator and is dealing with his own problems in the Mist Village, so we won't interfere with that. And the other 2 are currently unknown. They're most likely traveling throughout the 5 nations, and they could be anywhere. So, who are we recruiting next?" "Next will be Han. I know of his location, so he won't be hard to find. He's not too far away, either." Fu adds in excitedly. Sweet. I can't wait to see the next one. Fu is getting excited at the fact that I get to be with others who are like me. Yujito says. Believe me, Fu. We're just as excited as you are. Fu finishes her meal and puts her chopsticks down. Ah, that was delicious. I haven't had food this good in like ever. Yujito and B also finish their meal, and Yujito speaks. Han is only an hour away, so if we're all done here, we can get a move on. I just hope he's in his home place by the time we get there. Fu excitedly says. Okay then. Let's get moving. The three of them stand up from the table, and Yujito and B pay for the meal. Then they exit the restaurant and leave the little village. As they walk, Fu decides to ask Yujito and B a few questions about them. So Yujito, B, how did you two gain the respect you have now? Yujito says. I'm glad you asked, Fu. Me and B saved the Cloud Village. Fu widens her eyes a bit. You did. Now you're lying. B adds in. She's right, Minty. Me and Yuki sis saved the Cloud Village. That's how we got the respect we have now. Oh yeah? What did you two do, then? Yujito explains. Well, I wouldn't go into much detail, but it happened 13 years ago. I had just recently turned into it when that event happened. The clan known as the Yoriacha clan, a clan that lives outside the Five Nations, decided to step into the Cloud Village and ruthlessly claim it as their new home. They thought they were superior to everyone else, and to some extent, they were right. The clan was best known for their fire style, and used it in such a way that I've never seen before. Their leader, known as Osamu, challenged our current Drakage to duel. Osamu said that if he wins, the Cloud Village and everyone in it would be his for the taking, and he won. He fists his hands when remembering that, and Fu interrupts. Wait, you telling me that some random dude beat a cage? Yujito says. I saw their fight myself. Not to praise him, but Osamu did some incredible things. He interrupts. I wanted to give that Osamu dude a good pounding for what he did to my bro. Fu asks. The Drakage is your brother. He answers. You got that right, Lil 7. Yujito continues. Going back to the story, for the next 3 days after that fight, the village became a war zone. Our Cloud Shinobi couldn't stand being ruled by some outsider, so they declared war against the Yoriacha clan. Unfortunately, the clan was winning, and our shinobi were severely wounded. The clan was that powerful. Fu asks. And where were you and B during that time? Yujito responds. We were watching over the wreckage. The Cloud Shinobi were taking care of the clan, so he didn't want us to interfere in the war. He adds in. But when the Cloud Shinobi numbers were going down, we chose not to listen to Mabro, and decided to take care of that Osamu dude ourselves. Yujito continues. Drakage was pretty angry when we disobeyed his orders, but in the end, he was proud of us when we killed Osamu together. That man did some pretty insane stuff when we fought him. He even blew up the Drakage tower, which was later reconstructed of course. When we took him down, it scared the Yoriacha clan, and they fled from the village. Few questions. So, why did the clan want to take over the village? Yujito answers. We don't know. There could be many reasons as to why. Oh, alright. So I take it the village started praising the two of you when you killed that Osamu guy. The answers. You bet they did, Minty. Few questions again. So wait, Yujito. You were only 13 when you took down a man that was able to defeat your Drakage. Yujito answers. Yes, but it's not like I did it alone. He did most of the work, actually. Well, that's a pretty cool story. And I just wish I could do something as great as that. Also, I'm a little nervous that the Cloud Village might treat me the same way the Waterfall Village did. Phew, if there's something you should know, is that the Cloud Village has become very friendly when it comes to Dodge. Sure, they treated me and B badly when we were younger, but after that event, they started realizing the great things that we can achieve. And I can guarantee you that you will feel right at home when you step into the Cloud Village. B reminds her. Yuki girl, you know she's staying at Turtle Island, right? Yujito responds. I'm perfectly aware, B. But Turtle Island is part of the Cloud Village, so it's pretty much the same. Phew wonders. Turtle what? Turtle Island. It's where you and the rest of them will be staying. The Drakage wouldn't have a problem having you folks living inside the village itself, but we figured it wasn't going to be easy finding a house for all four of you. So Turtle Island was our first option. Phew asks. Are there bugs on that island? Yujito answers. Plenty of bugs. Why do you ask? Well, I really like bugs. They were honestly my only friends. I talk to them, and they talk to me back. So, you can communicate with bugs. I can. Few found out it was because of my tailed beast, the seven-tailed horned beetle. He's the reason why few can communicate with bugs, and they can communicate back with me. But even if I didn't have the horned beetle sealed inside of me, few would still like bugs. They're very interesting, well organized, and they always do their job. Yujito puts her thumb and her index finger on her chin, in a thinking position. Huh. I wish that could be the case with me. I love cats, but sadly I can't talk to them. She turns to B. You can't talk to oxes, can you B? B simply responds. Nah. They continue talking and sharing stories for the next hour. Their path was slowly turning into a desert-like area, and they could see many huge stones up ahead. Fuyue was not happy with their current location. Yujiro, you said that Han guy was living alone here. I don't want to be rude, but geez, how can he do so? There's nothing but stones and rocks. She lightly kicked a small rock as she walked. Yujiro says, you wouldn't want stone ninjas to hear what you just said, Fuyue. People from the stone village get easily offended if you say something bad about their territory. I guess it's because I like trees, water, and seeing green, but anyways, how long until we reach Han? Yujiro stops, which makes her two companions stop as well. She then says, we're here, actually. The three were surrounded by tall stones and dry grounds. They wait for a few seconds, then Fuyue asks, well, where is he? After she asks, the three of them hear footsteps behind him. They turn around and they see a tall man in red armor. Yujiro was happy to see the man, but he was surprised, and Fuyue's jaw nearly dropped to the floor at the sight of the hideously tall man. He stops in front of Fuyue with his right hand tucked inside his kimono shirt, simply saying, greetings. Fuyue was looking up to him, saying, well, you're freaking tall. Han responds, I get that a lot. Fuyue's height only reached the upper part of Han's stomach. It was clear that Fuyue was just as short as any 13-year-old genin. He walks up to Han and playfully slaps his shoulder and raps, yo, Han homie. The name's Killer Bee. Now do me a favor and come with me. Han looks at him, unamused. I'm already annoyed by you. And what do you mean to come with you? Yujiro walks up to them and stops in front. Hold on, B. Don't jump onto the topic just yet. Han looks at Yujiro. Glad to see you decided to stop by, Yujiro. Yujiro responds. Good to see you too, Han. Han asks. So, what made you want to stop by? And who are these two? Referring to Fuyue and B. Yujiro introduces. This right here is Fuyue. As she puts her hand on Fuyue's shoulder. Fuyue kindly asks, how's it going? Yujiro takes her hand off Fuyue's shoulder and continues. And over there is B. B taps his shoulders 2 times with his fist, then makes a peace sign. They're both just like you and me. Han was fairly surprised to hear that and looked at both Fuyue and B. Is that so? Fuyue responds, you bet we are. No wonder there seems something different about the two of you. Yujiro continues. The reason we are here is because we want to ask something of you. Han asks, and what will that be? Remember that talk we had about 3 weeks ago? Well, I put a lot of thought into it, and I decided to start a mission to recruit all of them and bring them all together. We would like for you to join us, Han. Oh? Recruiting all the for what purpose? It's not a very demanding purpose. We just want to give them the positive life they deserve. You and I both know that they are full of nothing but sorrow and depression, and I want to show them that they are not alone, and that there are people who have gone through the same thing, for the same reason. That's why we want to bring them all together. Now, what I want to ask you is, will you join us? Well, I do like the fact that there are others who are like me. However, I don't exactly mind being by myself. Fuyue puts both her hands on her hips, and adds in, hey, come on. Aren't you interested in meeting people who are exactly like you? People who have gone through the same crappy life. People who can share your pain. Yujiro also adds in, she's right, Han. I will say, I won't force you to come with us, but in that conversation we had, you told me you were interested in meeting the other dot. You said you would like for that to be one of your achievements. Han goes into deep thoughts, but then speaks. I did say that, didn't I? Yujiro asks. So what do you say, Han? Will you join us? Han crosses his arms and thinks for a few seconds, then speaks. How about we make things a little more interesting? Yujiro, I will join the 3 of you, under one condition. Yujiro wonders. What will that condition be? If Yujiro accepts to fight me. This catches Yujiro and B's attention and surprises Fuyue. Yujiro asks. You want to challenge me to a fight? Han answers. That's right. But this fight won't just be to see if you can get me to join your team, I also want to see just how strong you are. You're the one who wants to bring them together, yes? Then show me what the one in charge of this little mission can do. Yujiro smiles in a very cocky way. Very well. I accept your challenge. After a minute, Yujiro and Han were standing a few feet away from each other. Fuyue was sitting on top of a large rock, and B was standing next to her. Fuyue says, well, this'll be fun to watch. B raps. Ma girl Yujiro will put up a fight. She'll send Han flying sky high. Fuyue only shakes her head at B's questionable rapping. Han speaks. The rules will be simple, Yujiro. If you can knock me down onto the ground at least once, I will join you. Yujiro responds. As you like. Also, don't dare underestimate me just because I'm a Kunoichi. Han responds. Oh, I would never make such first impressions. What I'm hoping for, however, is for you not to hold back. Yujiro's fingernails start getting longer and sharper, and she gets in a fighting stance. I'll use you as a cat scratcher if I have to. Han gets in a fighting stance as well. That's more like it. Fuse says. Whoa. Those are some cool fingernails she's got. B says normally. It's part of what Yujito's tailed beast allows her to do with her physical body. Even her toenails can get longer, you feel me? Fuse looks at him oddly. Oh yeah, I guess. Yujito and Han stare at each other for a few more seconds, waiting to see who would make the first move. The silence ended when Yujito started sprinting towards Han. She jumps and swings her left claws at Han's head, only for him to duck under and grab Yujito's arm. He swings her over him and throws her behind him. She, however, lands on her feet and sprints at him once more. She swings her right claws downwards, but Han moves back. She then swings both of her clawed hands upwards, only for Han to block it, leaving scratches on his armor. Yujito swings her left leg, aiming for Han's head once more, and doing a full 360 spin while at it, but he ducks yet again, and makes a jump, swinging his knee at her. She didn't have time to dodge it, so she grabbed his knee with both of her hands instead. But she didn't see Han's fist coming, and he delivers a hit on Yujito's face. This makes Yu gasp, and B is surprised. Han's attack causes Yujito to let go of him, and lose her balance, but she regains her composure quickly, and faces Han again. Han taunts her. What's the matter, Yujito? Something's slowing you down. Yujito says. Oh, now you've done it. Yujito stands on all fours, focuses chakra on her feet and hands, while her toenails get longer and sharper. Han gets ready for whatever was to come. She charges at him like a cat, faster than before, and swings her claws horizontally. Han blocks it, and was going to deliver an attack, but Yujito quickly did a backflip, and manages to scratch Han's torso, and mask with the nails on her toes. She was still in the air, and made another 360 flip, with her head back on top, and feet back on the bottom. Before she lands on the ground, she swings her claws downwards to Han's face, but he quickly grabs her hands before her claws could touch his face. She then kicks him on the torso, which sends him backwards, and lets go of her. She lands back on her feet. Yujito takes a deep breath. Looks like I'm making a comeback. Han says. You've got a lot of speed. But can you break through my defenses? Watch me do so. Fuse cheered. Yeah. You get him, Yujito. Yujito smiles at Fuse cheering, but keeps her focus on Han. Han says in his thoughts. My turn to be on the offensive. Han then releases steam from the furnace on the back of his armor, and charges full speed ahead at Yujito, and swings a punch at her. She ducks down, but he quickly makes a 180, and swings another punch at her, which forces her to dodge again, but she dodges by getting on her hands. She swings her legs forward at him, and once again kicks him in the torso, but Han quickly grabs her foot, and swings her over him again, and throws her onto the ground, causing Yujito to land on her chest. She turns around on her back, only to see Han jumping up in the air, and releases much steam, to boost him down faster, and land on top of Yujito. She, however, immediately rolls out of the way, and gets up. Han lands on solid ground again, cracking the ground into progress. Fuse says. Whoa. He did some pretty good damage to the ground. If that were her he hit, she would have been a goner. B explains. Yudisis is known for having quick reflexes like a cat, yo. An attack like that ain't gon' touch her. Han charges at Yujito once again with steam coming out of his furnace, and swings another punch at Yujito. She sidesteps, but Han quickly turns around to continue attacking her. He swings his left fist downwards, then his right fist upwards, causing Yujito to avoid both attacks. He swings his left elbow at her, and aims for her face, but she ducks under. He then does 3 spinning low kicks with his left leg, forcing Yujito to jump back. Han's next attack was a ram. He releases more steam from his furnace, and does a charging attack trying to ram his left shoulder at Yujito, but she stops him with both her hands. Han, however, swings his right fist at her, but Yujito was smarter about it this time, and grabs his fist with her left hand. Yujito kicks Han in the stomach with her left leg, which causes Han to lose his balance. She then does a spin, and kicks Han in the face, with her left foot. The impact of the kick causes him to turn around, and give Yujito an opening. She runs towards him, slides through the middle of his legs, and delivers a blow to Han's face with both of her kicks, causing Han to fly backwards, and fall on his left side. Yujito stands back on her feet, and looks at Han, who is slowly getting up. Fuse smiles happily at what had happened, and B smirks. Han stands up, and faces Yujito. Yujito asks with a smirk on her face. So, how was that? Han stares at her for a few seconds, then smiles under his mask. HMPH. I guess you win. Yujito smiles. Fuse and B approach her. Fuse says. That was awesome, Yujito. He really hit the ground hard. B gives her a thumbs up. Good job, Yugi girl. Yujito looks at them, still smiling. Thanks guys. She looks back at Han. So Han, ready to take your leave? Han says. I am. It'll be nice traveling the world and seeing something new, for a change. Would you like to take your supplies with you? Yes, I would. Give me a few minutes while I pack. I'll be right back. Sure, go ahead. Han heads to his cave and packs all of his supplies. After 3 minutes, he comes out carrying 2 bags on his back and walks up to the 3 dot. Han says. All set. We can head out now. Yujito says. Excellent. Next up will be the Sand Village. I hope you folks like the heat because it'll be burning in there. Fuyu complains. Oh man, let's just go quickly and get it over with. With that, the three and their newest member take their leave and head south to the Sand Village. Yujito says in her thoughts. Only 2 more to go. The sky was now light orange and our heroes were walking through the desert of the Land of Wind, making their way straight for the Sand Village. While the 3 adults were walking through the sandy land without a problem, the only teenager in the group was falling a bit behind due to the desert's heat. Yujito looks back at her. Fuyu, you're falling behind. Pick up your pace. Fuyu complains. I'm sorry. I really hate this heat. She looks down to her feet. Fuyu's little feet can't keep up with this burning sand. You have sandals on. I know. But it's like the heat is going right through them. Han looks back at her. How about I give you a little lift? Fuyu looks at him and blinks once, but then she smiles widely. Would you? That would be great. This causes Fuyu to run up to the group. I always wanted a piggyback ride. Oh, I'll give you something better than a piggyback ride. He takes off his straw hat and hands it to Fuyu. Here, hold this. Fuyu holds on to it. Okay. But what could be better than a piggyback ride? Han grabs Fuyu by her armpits and lifts her up. Whoa hey. He then places Fuyu over his head and sits her down on the back of his neck, with her legs resting on each of Han's shoulders. He holds onto her ankles so that she doesn't fall off. Fuyu looks around in a dumbfounded way. Oh. She smiles. Haha. You're right. This is better. Yujito looks at them. Wow. I never expected you to do something as nice as that, Han. Han replies. It's the least I can do for my new friends. He looks up at Fuyu. You better not get used to this, though. Fuyu puts Han's straw hat on her head, still smiling. Oh, don't worry. I won't take advantage of this. Being tall really benefits you, though. Except for when I constantly bump my head. Fuyu turns her head in different directions. Man, I can see further into the desert. She then looks forward and points. I think I can even see the Sand Village from here. Up ahead. B says. Then we ain't far. Let's move, homies. They continued walking, as Fuyu was really enjoying her new seat. Han speaks. Oh, by the way, Yujito. I now remembered what I wanted to tell you. Yujito asks. What is it? It's about my buddy, Raoshi. He's, as well. This catches Fuyu and B's attention, and Yujito widens her eyes. Yujito asks. You know another? Han answers. I do. He's a good friend of mine, and also from the Stone Village. He spends all of his time traveling and seeing the world. He actually gave me a visit today, about 30 minutes before you folks arrived. But, how can you completely forget about him if we spent most of our time talking? I did tell you my memory was bad, didn't I? Fuyu teases him. Do you have a bad memory? Han says. Don't push it. Fuyu only giggles. Yujito asks. What can you tell me about this Raoshi? He was my very first friend, actually. I've known him since I was just a boy. He's 53 years old, so he's most likely the oldest dot, and he holds the 4-tailed great ape. Do you know where he is? No, I forgot. Yujito's sweat drops. Oh. The conversation went on for the next 20 minutes. By the time those minutes went by, they were already in front of the village's tall entrance. Yujito says. Finally made it. Now we just have to speak with the Kazekage. Han says to Fuyu, who was still sitting on his shoulders. Well Fuyu, it's time for you too. Fuyu cuts him off. Yeah, I got it. She jumps off his shoulders and lands back on the sandy ground. Fuyu takes Han's straw hat off her head and turns to him. Here you go. Thanks for the ride, too. I had a nice view of everything. She hands his hat back to him and he puts it back on his head. You're welcome. The group walks up to Sand Ninja on guard at the entrance. The Sand Ninja says. State your business. Yujito peeks. We wish to speak to your Kazekage. What matters do you have with Lord Rasa? It's about you. We wish to recruit him. Right this way. The Sand Shinobi lead the team through the rather lengthy entrance of the Sand Village. They make it past the entrance and see the Sand Village right before them. It was a very yellow and very dry place, but still had many inhabiting it. The Sand Ninja points onward. That tower right up ahead, the tallest tower in the village, that's where the Kazekage works. Let's just hope he's not working on anything important while the 4 of you walk in to talk to him. Now, have a nice day, and don't cause any trouble. With that, the Sand Ninja takes his leave. Fuyu says. I definitely would not want to live in such a dry place like this. Yujito says to her. Just don't say that in front of the Kazekage, will you not? Fine, I'll be quiet about it. B says. Let's go, ma fools. We got it. He then marches straight away to the Kazekage building, with the others following behind. Han asks Yujito. Is he always like this? Yujito says. No, he's just excited to have students that can call him Lord Killer B. Fuyu adds in. Yeah right, like I'll ever call him that. They proceed walking forward through the streets of the Sand Village and enter the Kazekage building. They reach the Kazukiji's office, but before they enter, the Kazukiji's assistant, a young man who seemed to be in his early 20s, enters the Kazukiji's office. He says, "Lord Rasa, there are 4 shinobi from different villages who wish to speak to you." Rasa asks himself, what group would want to visit me at this time? He then speaks to his assistant. "Fine, send them in." His assistant walks out the door and allows the group to enter the office. The Kazukiji found the group a weird bunch. While he found Yujiro to be the normal one out of the 4, it's not every day you find a man in shades, another fully armored, and a teenager with him. Han, however, decides to wait outside. Rasa speaks. "HMPH. You folks look like assassins. If you're here to kill me, showing up right in front of my office door is not the way to do so." Yujiro responds, "I can guarantee you we have no such plans, Lord Kazukiji." Rasa examines Yujiro, then speaks. "I remember you." Yujiro, "Yes. You came here a few weeks ago on behalf of a request for a mission, if I'm not mistaken." "That's correct. We are here to ask for a request. Please make it quick. I have a lot of paperwork that needs to be done." "What is this request of yours?" "I understand that the one known as Gar is your son, is that correct?" "That thing is not my son. But what business do you want with him?" Yujiro's left eye twitches as she hears that word again, but she speaks. "If you were to allow it, we would request to recruit him." Rasa wonders. "Recruit him? For what purpose?" Yujiro continues. "Well, Lord Rasa, you must obviously be aware of the miserable and lowly life your son must have, and because of that, we aim to give him understanding and meaning to his life. We want to make him feel love for a change. He can be considered a hero, after all." Rasa looks Yujiro straight in the eye. "And who do you have the right to decide what's best for Gar? And what makes him a hero?" Yujiro crosses her arms. "We're just like him." Rasa widens his eyes as he hears that. Yujiro continues. "And he is a hero because he is the reason his tailed beast is not running loose. He is the reason why your village and your people are still standing. People may see him as a demon, but in reality, he's the one that's protecting them all." Rasa asks, "So, just because you're like him, means you have a better understanding of how he feels?" Yujiro answers, "That's exactly it. When I was here weeks ago, I heard how harshly people were talking of him, saying what a monster he was and how he deserves to die. Me and my friends here were told the same thing, and we're here to show him that there are people like him out there. Alone, hated, feared, unloved, that's how he feels, and how we felt. We wish to change that with him, if you would allow it." Fu puts her hands on her hips, and nods, and smiles, while B smirks. Rasa only chuckles at her words. HM. He then puts on a serious face. "Miss Nai, you don't understand Gar's situation." He stands up from his chair, and walks over the table. "You need to really know him in order to understand him. As someone who has known him since the day he was born, I know what he feels, and what he is." He stands in front of Yujiro. He is indeed a monster. That word once again angers Yujiro on the inside, but remains calm on the outside. She proceeds to ask, "And what makes you so sure?" "He's unstable. His ideal is to be completely alone. It's what keeps him and the beast calm. Without his solitude, he will kill, and won't give up until the sky starts raining with the blood of his targets." Yujiro asks, "What about his 2 older siblings?" Rasa answers, "He doesn't truly love them. He doesn't even see them as related to him. Temari and Kankuro fear him just as much as anybody else, though they still are pretty protective over him. No one has ever loved Gar, so he has nobody else to love but himself. That's all that matters to him. We can change that. We are willing to show him the love he needs and deserves." Rasa smirks. "You're pretty amusing." He starts walking to his left. "Normally I'd have to speak to the council about letting go of Gar." He then walks to his right. "And I did have plans of using Gar as a weapon, but..." Fu cuts him off. Whoa. Hold on a second. You want to use your own son as a weapon? What kind of father are you?" Rasa answers, "Like I said, I don't see him as my son, I see him as a monster, which I seek to use as a weapon." This angers both Fu and Yujiro, but Yujiro still didn't show it, and had a hard time holding her anger in. B says unamused, "Not cool, brother." Han was paying close attention from outside the office. He wasn't very surprised to hear what the Kazukiji had to say. Rasa faces Yujiro again, and continues. "As I was saying, you folks seem pretty determined to show Gar some light, so I'll let him go with you. I'm actually fairly interested in seeing just how much Gar can change with you. You claim that you are like him, so you'll understand him. Prove it to me. Prove that Gar can change with your help." The fact that the Kazukiji approved of Yujiro's request calms her down. She speaks. "Where can we find him?" Rasa starts making his way back to his seat. He should be back from a mission by now. He sits down. He usually spends his time in the sand village training fields behind the village. He smirks again. HMPH. Good luck at convincing him, though. You'll have to speak to Temari and Kankuro about it as well, and like I said, they're very protective when it comes to Gar. We'll figure something out. I'll inform the council about my decision. They don't care much about Gar, so they put him in my hands. However, he needs to put down his Sand Shinobi status before he leaves, or he will become a missing nin. You don't want that, do you? No, sir. Good. Report to me, as soon as you convince Gar to come with you. I'll put down his Sand Shinobi status then. Yujito nods. We will. Thank you for your time, Lord Kazukichi. Asa concludes. You are dismissed. With that, Yujito, Fu, and B exit the office, and close the door, while the Kazukichi gets back to his work. In the streets of the Sand Village, the four were making their way to the back of the village. Fu begins to talk. I can't believe it. That sorry excuse for Kazukichi who wants to use his own son as a weapon. What kind of person would do that? Han tells her. Keep it down, will you? You want to be thrown out of the village for insulting their Kazukichi. Fu scratches the back of her neck, embarrassed. Right. Though I find it funny that his siblings fear him, yet they're protective of him. Yeah, fear and protection don't exactly go together. Yujito remains quiet, but B looks at her, and asks. Feeling the same way as before, Yugi girl. Yujito speaks. Yeah. I could hardly contain my anger when he called Gar those words. Han asks. Monster, and thing. Yujito looks at him. Han, how could you say those words without feeling anger? Because I'm used to it. Yujito looks forward again, maintaining her face of disapproval. Let's just go get Gar. They proceed walking to the back of the village. When they arrived, they saw the training area was completely empty. There was only one person there, a boy with spiky red hair, a sand gourd on his back, and a mostly dark outfit, with brown and white around him. He was currently sitting on top of a boulder. The boy feels their presence approaching him. Without looking at them, he speaks. What do you want? Yujito asks. Are you Gar? Yes, and I'll ask again. What do you want? My name is Yujito Nai. We have a request for you. Gar stands up from the boulder and turns to them. He asks. What is it? Yujito replies. We are traveling throughout the 5 nations looking for such as yourself. Do you seek to capture me? Yujito slowly walks up to him. No, we seek to help you. B speaks to her. Careful Yugi sis. His chakra feels dangerous. Yujito stops, and Gar asks. What help could you possibly give me? I don't need anybody's help. Besides, why do you want to help me? Yujito answers. You and I share the same past of loneliness and hatred. Nobody loved us throughout our lives, and I'm sure you're still going through that. Yujito's words slowly start angering Gar. Don't remind me of my past. My past is something I talk about with no one. What could you possibly know about it? Because I was hated for the same reason as you. She looks back at the other. We were all hated for the same reason. She looks back at Gar. Hated for the same reason. What do you mean? Me, and my friends behind me, we're just like you. Gar's expression doesn't change. I've heard enough lies. Now leave, or I'll kill all of you. Yujito then does exactly what she did when she met Fu. She raised her shirt and showed her belly to Gar. Gar wasn't one to be surprised easily, but what he saw next surprisingly caught him off guard. Yujito shows Gar the seal that keeps her tailed beast inside of her, which interestingly surprises him. Yujito asks him, does this seal look familiar? Gar was speechless. Even he was surprised to see that seal. He couldn't believe it. A person in front of him who was hated and abandoned for the same reason. Someone who knows how he feels and what he went through. Someone that could finally understand him. He slowly walks up to her and gently places his hand on Yujito's belly. The other questioned his action. Yujito confirms. Yes, the seal is real, Gar. He takes his hand off her belly and Yujito pulls her shirt down. Gar looks at Yujito with shock on his face. You're like me. Yujito gently smiles. Exactly like you. I know exactly how you feel. You were lonely throughout your entire life. Everybody called you ugly words like monster and thing. You've been betrayed, abandoned, or at some points, used. I know this, Gar. I have been there, and I have experienced it, all because of this heavy burden I carry. Gar only stares at her. I'm sure it must be hard for you to believe me. I'm sure you don't trust anyone because of your tragic past, but you can trust us. Yujito slowly puts her hand on Gar's shoulder, without hesitation. Gar isn't one to let anybody casually touch him, but with Yujito, he felt different about it. He started feeling that Yujito wasn't lying, especially since she wasn't afraid of him, like everybody else is. Yujito continues. Gar, if you would allow it, and if your siblings would allow it as well, I would like you to come with me. I want to give you, and my new friends, a life where you can feel truly loved. A life of real, honest people who will care for you. A life where I promise you, you will never be betrayed, and I promise you, you will gain love and respect. Gar started calming down, and the others only watched with a satisfied look on their faces. They hear the voice of a female. Who are you? What are you doing with Gar? All of them turn around and see a blonde teenage girl wearing white with a giant fan on her back, and a teenage boy wearing completely black purple face painting, and what looked to be a mummy on his back. The girl spoke. I asked who you were. The two of them walk up to Gar. The boy asked, Gar, are you alright? Gar looks at them. Yes, I'm fine. Yujito asks, are you Temari and Kankuro? Temari responds, yeah. What do you want with Gar? We were talking to him about something important. But seeing as his two older siblings are here, we can discuss it with you, as well. Fyu and the others walk up to them, and Kankuro asks, what do you want to talk about? We wish to recruit him. Temari asks, recruit him? Just who do you think you are to just go ahead and recruit him? He's our brother. As like him, I want to help him gain the love and respect he needs. Something he never had. Kankuro says, surprised. Wait, what? Yurei. Temari finishes the sentence. You're right. It doesn't just show up in a village. B says, these do, baby. Kankuro was still surprised. You're all. Fyu crosses her arms, smiling. That's right. Not exactly something to be proud of, but it's a big title Gar, and the four of us hold. Temari was unamused. Well, I find it hard to believe that four would show up to the Sand Village. Does the Kazakage even know you're here? Han speaks. We spoke to him a few minutes ago. He approves of Gar leaving with us. Kankuro stutters. What? Father wouldn't. Yujito says. And we figured we would let Gar's older siblings know about our plans. Temari argues. Well, tough luck. Even if you were like Gar, he's not going anywhere with you. Gar speaks. Yes, I am. Temari looks at him in shock. I'm leaving with them. Temari quickly asks him. Gar, what are you talking about? You don't even know them, and you want to go with them. Gar explains. Yujito could truly understand me. You two haven't figured out how I feel, and you haven't throughout my entire life. She knows how I feel, and understands what I have gone through. And she doesn't fear me. He steps forward. Miss Yujito, I wish to join you, and your group. Yujito, well not by much, showed a surprised expression. I have been convinced that you are like me, and that you share the same past I did. I wish to walk by your path, and learn how I can gain the love and respect you promised. Yujito looks at Temari and Kankuro, then back at Gar. Are you sure this is what you want? Your siblings seem to care about you. No, they don't. They only care about what's inside of me, and that it doesn't run loose. Miss Yujito, you have shown me that you care about my well-being. And that is why I will go with you. Temari begs. Gar, please. You can't. Kankuro interrupts. Temari, you and I both know we can't argue with Gar. If going with them is what's going to keep him calm, then let him go. But we don't even know these people. Fyu says. Then we should get started and get along. Temari yells. Shut it, brat. Now's not the time to tell jokes. I'm not just gonna get along with you. This makes you look bad. Kankuro tells Temari. Temari. Just let him join them. They seem to know what they're talking about if they've gone through the same past Gar has. Kankuro, whose side are you on? I'm on nobody's side. I'm just being reasonable about this situation. Gar seems positive about going, so if that's what'll calm him down, then let him. Temari stays quiet and looks down on the sand, with a mad expression on her face. Yujito asks. Well, Gar. Gar finally says. I'm going with Miss Yujito and her allies. He looks back at Temari and Kankuro. And there's nothing the two of you can do about it. Temari slowly lifts her head up. Gar. Gar looks Yujito straight in the eye. Miss Yujito, I will warn you from here on now. If you ever betray me, or ever dare to do so, I will kill you and your friends. This catches B and Han's attention, while Fyu swallows hard and her pupil's eyes get smaller. Yujito responds. You've got yourself a deal. Gar says. Good. Fyu says in her thoughts. He looks like a psychopath, so there's no way in heaven or hell that I'll betray him. Yujito tells him. Your Kazakage asked us to take you to him, so he can put down your Sand Shinobi status. Gar says. Fine. I want to leave as soon as possible. Temari asks. Wait, can we just have a few minutes with Gar before he leaves? Gar immediately says. No. There's nothing left that I need of you two. This angers Temari, and she looks at Yujito. You? Yujito looks at her. You can take my brother with you, but don't you ever show your face around here again. She looks at the other. Neither of you. Fyu frowns, while the adult stays neutral about her statement. Gar ends the argument. Let's go. I don't want to waste any more time. He proceeds walking to the entrance of the Sand Village, with the other following behind. Yujito looks back at the two older siblings, almost feeling guilty for taking their younger brother away from them. She looks forward and proceeds walking. Night had finally fallen, and it had been an hour since the four, and their latest addition to the team, left the Sand Village. They had already left the desert and entered a forest-like area. Gar, as much as he hated seeing his own father face to face, had already signed a few papers to put down his Sand Shinobi status. Fyu tries to begin a conversation with Gar. So, how's it like to finally leave your village? Gar answers. I don't like showing it, but I'm relieved to have left the Sand Village. It wasn't exactly a place I liked living in, especially after the way I was treated. And I didn't really care about leaving Temari and Kankuro behind, either. Well, I did work together with them, I saw them as an annoyance, and they didn't know me well enough to understand me. I kind of know how that feels. When Yujiro and B recruited me, they really knew how I felt and what I went through because they went through the same. I hated living in my old village. They all treated me like crap, and some even tried making off with me. I don't like talking about it, but for a fellow, I don't mind sharing a bit of my story. My name is Fu, by the way. Yujiro reminds them. You guys, you haven't introduced yourself to our new friend. B introduces himself. Killer B is in the house, Lil Sand Buddy. Gara found his way of speaking to be irritating. Han also introduces himself. My name is Han. Pleasure to meet you, Gar. Gara nods at him. Fu asks Yujiro. Hey Yujiro, the Leaf Village is the only village left, right? Yujiro responds. Yes. Naruto Uzumaki is the last one. She looks at Han. Han, are you sure you can't remember where Raoshi is? Han answers. I'm afraid not. My memory doesn't want to work with me right now. Oh? Well, alright. How about we call it a night and make camp here? Fu agrees. Yeah, we've been walking all day today. I could really use some rest. After a few minutes, Yujiro set up a campfire. Fu, Yujiro, and B were taking out their sleeping items, and Han took off the furnace on his back, along with his 2 bags, and set them beside him so he could sit down, and laid his back against a tree. Fu was looking through her cylinder. So, anybody got any stories to tell before we hit the hay? Han tells her. I thought you said you were tired. Yeah, but Fu doesn't mind listening to one story before she sleeps. Yujiro looks at Gar, who was staring at the campfire, and she asks. Do you want a sleeping bag, Gar? I have a spare. Gar responds. I don't sleep. He walks into the forest to stay up for the night, but not too far away from the campsite. Fu looks at him, and walks away. Maybe he's an insomniac. Yujiro says. I feel it's something else. What do you mean? Oh, just a funny feeling, that's all. And no, I don't have any stories to tell at the moment. B adds in. Me either, yo. Oh, okay. She looks at Han. What about you, Hi? When she looked at him, Han was sitting against a tree, with his arms crossed, and already asleep, snoring lightly. Fu had a deadpan expression. Wow, that was quick. Yujiro says. We better head to sleep, as well. She lays inside her sleeping bag, and B does the same. Sleep tight, y'all. Fu covers herself in her sheet, and lays her head on her cylinder. Good night, guys. Yujiro responds. Good night, Fu. With that, the 3 go to sleep for the night. With Gara, he was in a fairly open spot, looking up at the moon lighting up the night, in deep thought. Was this the right choice? Going with people I don't even know. This choice makes me seem as if I'm desperate. Miss Yujiro wasn't lying when she said she was like me, so she's currently the only one I can believe. Either way, I can always kill them if they plan anything against me. Betraying me will be the biggest mistake they'll ever make. With that, he proceeds walking through the forest for the night. The next day, the campfire has already been turned off, and Yujiro starts to slowly wake up. She sees Fu sitting next to B, having a conversation. The 2 of them had already packed their things, so they decided to chat. Yujiro starts to get up from her sleeping bag. You 2 are up early. Fu looks at her. Oh, we just got up. B and I were telling each other about ourselves. B says. Check it out, Yugi girl. Lil 7 here wants to rap too. Yeah. I will say, even though B's rapping is pretty bad, this makes B's smile turn into a frown, and his eyebrow to twitch behind his headband. Rapping sounds like a lot of fun. Yujiro tries to hold her laughter at B's face when Fu says his rapping is bad. B tells Fu. You just lost a lot of respect, Minty. Why? Cause I said your rapping was bad. B taps Fu on her forehead. Ow. Hey. Yujiro starts packing her back, and looks at them. Come on guys, be nice. HMPH. Was what B responded with, and took out his little rhyming book. I'm gonna make a rhyme insulting you, Minty. Fu looks at him in shock. Wow, you're so immature. The 3 of them notice Gar arriving. Yujiro looks at him. Gar, you're back. Where were you? Gar responds. I said I don't sleep, so I wandered the forest for the night. Fu asks him. Why don't you sleep? Don't you get tired? I'll explain sometime in the future. Right now I don't feel comfortable explaining it with people I just met. Yujiro stands up, and picks up her backpack. Fair enough. Let's get moving. We'll stop at a village for some breakfast, then we'll continue our trip. Fu and B stand up, as well Fu dusts herself off. Alright then. She heads towards her cylinder back, and looks at Han, who was still sleeping. Who's gonna wake up the giant? Yujiro answers that question. I'll do it. She walks up to Han, kneels down on one knee, and shakes his shoulder. Han, wake up. Han just tumbles over, and hits the ground with his arms still crossed, and still sleeping. Yujiro widens her eyes at his sudden collapse. OM. The answers to that. Big Ol Red must be a heavy sleeper. Fu grabs a pebble. I got this. She then aims the pebble at Han and throws it at him, hitting him right in the bridge of his nose. Han wakes up. Fuse strikes a victory pose. Bullseye. He sits up and rubs the bridge of his nose. Alright, you did it. Few did. Somebody had to wake you up. Han growls at her, but then stands up, grabs his furnace. That really stung, you know. He puts it on his back, and then grabs his 2 bags. Oh, you're a big man. You can take a pebble to the face. Gar interrupts him. If you two are done with your needless talk, we should get moving. Vegito agrees. He's right. The Leaf Village is a day away, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go. He also agrees. You got it. They begin walking, and Fuse says unamused. Great. Fuse's little feet are gonna get sore by the time we get there. Han teases Fuse. Oh, you're a big girl. You can walk for a few hours. Fuse crosses her arms. HMPH. They continue walking for the rest of their journey. They spent half of their time quiet, and the other half, they had small conversations. Fuse started humming random songs to kill the silence. They eventually found a small village to make a stop and have some breakfast. Vegito had purchased food for Fuse and herself, and beef for Gar, and didn't make the same mistake of buying expensive food for Fuse, and Gar didn't ask for much, so B was lucky not to spend too much of his money. Han had his own money to buy his own food. They had their breakfast quickly, and left the village once they were done. They traveled for 5 more hours until they stopped at another village to grab lunch. They also finished their lunch quickly, and continued their journey. They took a total of 4 breaks during their trip. 2 to grab food, and 2 to rest their feet. Night had fallen, and they set up camp for the night, and continued next morning. They traveled for 2 more hours. Han tells them, I see a huge stone wall up ahead. It must be the Leaf Village. Fuse suddenly jumps behind Han, puts her hands on his shoulders, and puts her head next to Han's, to get a good view. He didn't seem to mind. Fuse smiles. He's right. I can see the village just up ahead. Vegito is relieved to hear that. Good. Naruto Uzumaki will be the last one, then we can head to the Cloud Village. Fuse asks Han. Mind if I hang on to you for the rest of the walk? Han responds. I already gave you a lift yesterday, and the day before. Besides, we're almost there, you can walk the rest. Fine. She gets off Han, and continues walking. I hope they don't think we're a weird bunch. I mean, look at us. Vegito agrees. I would have to hope for the same thing. B raps. They God let us in, we just gotta keep it cool. He points at the others. So none of you better make us look like fools. Han looks at Vegito. Vegito, how can you tolerate this guy's awful rapping? This makes B's mouth twitch, Vegito says. Oh, it's not that bad. And besides, I got used to it. Was all that B said. Gar only stayed quiet and listened to their conversation, that is until Fuse talks to him. I heard that Naruto is around the same age as the 2 of us. If that's the case, it'll be great that we'll get to meet others that's our age. We'll be able to relate to him, and him to us. Gar responds. I'm not going to get my hopes up. Despite saying that, Gar was secretly interested in meeting Naruto, knowing that he was close to his age. It only took them 15 minutes to get to the entrance of the Leaf Village. 2 Leaf Shinobi, who we know as Izumo, were sitting on a desk in front of the village gate on guard duty, nearly bored to death. That is, until they saw the strange group coming their way. Kotetsu tells Izumo. Hey Izumo, check it out. Izumo looks, and is nearly surprised to see the group approaching the gates. Well, this is an unusual group. Be on guard. They look suspicious. Wait a minute. Is that Yujito Nai with them? Kotetsu takes a good look. Yes it is. What could bring her over? The group walks up to the 2, and Yujito greets them. Greetings. You 2 folks look bored out of your minds. Kotetsu responds. You have no idea, Miss Nai. But it's good to see you again. Now, IDs please. All 5 of them take out their identifications, and the 2 look over them. They were suspicious about their sudden appearance to the Leaf. Izumo looks at the group. Your friends are the weirdest group I've seen all day. Han says. We'll take that as a compliment. They hand the group their IDs back, and Izumo asks. So Miss Nai, what brings you and your friends over to the Leaf Village? B says instead. We're here to see Naruto, homie. Izumo wonders. Naruto. Kotetsu says. He'd be the last person in this village any outsider would want to see. Yujito tells them. Well, we're not going to see him directly. We're going to talk to your Hokage about him. We have our reasons, now we'll get going. I'll see you 2 later. With that, the group follows Yujito to the Hokage building, as the 2 watch them leave. Kotetsu wonders. Talk to the Hokage about Naruto. What does she mean by that? Izumo says. Well, it's not our business. So let's stay out of it. Yujito and the others proceed walking through the village, and Fuse marvels at the village, noticing how live and colorful it was. Wow. I would love to live here. It's a very pretty village with lots of smiling faces. Not to mention, the village is surrounded by lots of trees, and I've heard about the Aburum clan and their love for bugs. Let's stay here for a while. Yujito says. Well, I was planning on having us stop here until tomorrow. Heading to the Cloud Village is a one-day trip, and we do need a few supplies, so yes, let's stay here for a while. Few gets excited. Yeah. But first, we're going to see the Hokage. Yeah, I'm aware. Han looks at Few. You know. You've been pretty happy for someone who spent most of her time alone and sad. Few shrugs. Meh. I wonder why that is. B says. Minty ain't the only one. He points at himself with both of his thumbs. This dude right here always kept smiling, even after the glares people gave me. Han looks at B. Oh, I can believe that. You don't look like a person who would get angry or sad so easily. Few tells him. Unless you say how bad his rapping is. B grows a noticeable vein on the side of his right eye. Watch it, Minty. Or it's gone get shitty. Vegito only smiles at their conversation, and they proceed walking to the Hokage Tower. It took them 4 minutes to arrive, but when they entered the tower, other Leaf ninjas looked at the group strangely. It's not every day they see such a colorful group of ninjas. Yujito took note of their staring. Yujito guides the other containers to the Hokage office. She already knew where it was when she arrived at the village on her missions a few weeks ago. It's not her first time in the Leaf Village though. She's been there a few times before with either her Cloud teammates or with B. They arrive, and Yujito knocks on the door to the office, and they hear her come in from the other side. Yujito enters, followed by the others. Han decides to stay outside again. Yujito speaks. Lord Hokage. It's good to see you again. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage of the Leaf Village, was working on paperwork and looked up to see who walked in his office. B speaks. Yo. Good to see you, old man. Hiruzen speaks. Yujito Nai. B. What a surprise. I didn't expect you both to visit. He looks at the other members in the group and notices Gar was in with them. Sarutobi is surprised by the young boy being in his office. Gar of the Sand. What is he doing here? Gar glares at the Hokage, and Yujito tells Hiruzen. It's okay, Lord Third. He's with us. And we're here to ask you a question. Hiruzen calms down and leans his back against his chair. He looks at Few. And you, young lady. Few introduces herself. Oh, I'm Few. Nice to meet you, Lord Hokage. Very well. He looks back at Yujito. What will your request be? Yujito continues. It's about Naruto Uzumaki. What about the boy? Well, I actually don't think this request will even be considered, but we would like to request if we could recruit him. Recruit him? What do you want with him? Well, like I said, I don't think this request will be considered, seeing as the boy doesn't know of his status, but Hiruzen cuts her off. He already knows. Yujito asks. Pardon. Naruto knows of his status. It was revealed to him last night by a man known as Mizuki. Oh, I see. Now, why do you wish to recruit him? Lord Hiruzen, you must probably know of the lonely life the boy lived because of his status. And we, as like him, would like to show him that there are people just like him, who have been alone, and have suffered for the same reason. Wait. The Hokage realizes. Yujito, B, Gar, I'm well aware of your status. He looks at Few again. But you too, as well, Few. Few smiles, and answers. That's right. I was from the Waterfall Village. Yujito adds in. And there's another waiting outside the office. Han from the Stone Village. Hiruzen's eyes whiten somewhat. What are 5 doing here in the Leaf Village? He looks at Yujito. Yujito, what are you planning? Lord Hokage, I want to show my fellow students that they can have a positive life. I want to show them that they can gain the loyalty I and B work so hard for, especially the younger and less experienced ones, like Naruto and the 2 young ones behind me. Referring to Few and Gar. That's what the 5 of us are here for. The aged Hokage said. You have a kind heart, Yujito, and I admire that you want what's best for Naruto, and the rest of the dot. I am completely aware of what Naruto has been through, and I did everything in my power to try and make things better for him. However, letting Naruto go is not up to me, it's up to the council. They control what happens to Naruto more than I do. Yujito thought. I figured as much. Hiruzen continues. However, I can arrange a meeting discussing Naruto. And if I do, I would like you to participate in it, Yujito. Yujito agrees. Very well. When will it be possible for the meeting to be arranged? I will make plans to arrange it tonight at 8. I suggest you stay in the village a little longer. We were planning on staying until tomorrow morning, if that's fine with you. That's perfectly fine. Until then, Yujito, I would like you to arrive here at my office at 7 at night, and I will let you know if the meeting will take place. Yujito responds. Very well. Thank you for your time, Lord Third. I will be here by that time. Gar then speaks. I have something to say. Everyone in the room looks at him. It would be a lot fairer if all 5 of us attended the meeting. Miss Yujito can't debate with the council alone, and having the 4 of us with her will give the council more reason to grant Miss Yujito's request. Yujito was surprised by his words. Gar. Few speaks. You know. I would have to agree with him. Yujito, you need all the help you can get, and we'd be willing to help you bring Naruto with us. B agrees. Count me in too. Yujiro lightly smiles and looks back at the Hokage. Well, Lord Hiruzen. Hiruzen says. He does make a valid point. Very well, I shall allow all 5 of you to attend the meeting. Yujiro keeps her smile on. Thank you, Lord Hokage. But be aware. You will be going up against the clan leaders of the Leaf Village and civilian council members. Use the right words and make your statements as accurate and reasonable as you can. You don't want to make this a waste of time for the council, so all 4 of you and the man waiting outside be well prepared for tonight. We will, Lord Hokage. At 7 at night we'll be here. Hiruzen agrees. Very well. You are dismissed. With that, the 4 containers exit the office and Yujiro closes the door. They begin walking and Yujiro looks at Han. You heard all of it, yes? Han responds. I did. I'll happily go to the meeting with the 5 of you. Good. She then looks at B. Now B, I know your brother told you this already, but I'm going to keep reminding you. Please don't use any sort of rapping or slang talk. For them to be convinced of our reasons, we have to sound. B cuts her off. I already know, Yugi sis. I ain't 12 anymore, you know. Alright then. I just felt like I needed to remind you one more time. Fuse says. In the meanwhile, we can take a look around the village and relax for a bit. Han tells him. It would probably be a good idea to meet this Naruto boy. If we do succeed in bringing him with us, then he should know who he's going to be leaving with. Yujiro puts her hand on her forehead. Ah damn it, I forgot to ask the Hokage where we can find Naruto. Fuse says. Then go back to ask him. No, we've already used enough of his time. I don't want to go back to his office just to ask him where Naruto is. Fine, then. We'll find him eventually. But for now, let's rent a hotel for us to crash in. They proceed walking through the halls of the Hokage Tower until they exit. Once they are outside in the village, the Leaf Ninjas and villagers take a look at the group again. This time, all 5 in the group noticed everyone was looking. Yujiro and B look back at the Leaf people. Fyu gets nervous that the staring might turn into glares, and Gar and Han don't seem to care. The staring continued until they reached a hotel and quickly rented 2 rooms. One for Yujiro and Fyu, and another one for Gar, B, and Han. With the Kunoichi, the 2 of them put their bags on the beds. Fuse says. Man, that was terrible. I know the 5 of us look like a weird group, but did everybody need to stare at us? I felt uncomfortable. And I was scared they were going to glare at us. Yujiro says. You're new to the village, so they don't know about your status. There's no need to worry about glares. I know. It's just that at the Waterfall Village, when people stared at me, their stares turned into glares, and it's just something I'm used to, is all. Fu's stomach grumbles, and she holds her belly. Man, I just realized. We haven't eaten anything all day. Let's go get the guys and stop at a restaurant. I'm pretty hungry myself. Let's leave our stuff here. It won't be necessary to take them if we're coming back. Okay? The 2 Kunoichi exit the room and ask the guys to come with them. All 5 of them exit the hotel building and start walking on the streets of the Leaf Village. Yujiro asks them. So, what would you guys like to eat? Han says. Anywhere is fine with me. Fuse says. I'd like some fruit. B says. I want to eat some bacon. Yujiro asks. What about you, Gar? Gar responds. I don't care where. Well, alright. She notices a familiar food stand near them. Oh, how about there? Fyu looks at the stand. Ichiraku ramen shop. Yes. Naruto told me how much he loves the ramen in that stand, and told me he goes there almost every day. Maybe the owner can tell us where he likes to be, or where he lives. I didn't ask Naruto where he lives the first time I talked to him. Han says. Sounds like a good idea. Fuse says. Sure. Let's eat there. B says. Whatever. The group walks up to the ramen stand, and Yujiro was about to enter, but someone exiting the stand bumps into her. The person says. Oh, sorry about that. Yujiro responds. It's alright, she then noticed who it was, and smiled. Naruto. It was indeed the spiky blonde-haired, whisker-bearing, jumpsuit-wearing boy we know, Naruto Uzumaki. He looks up at her, and smiles, as well. Yujiro. He hugs her, and does his trademark foxy grin. It's good to see you again. The others look at the boy, and he releases Yujiro. She says. It's good to see you too. We were wondering where you were. We have lots to talk about. Why don't we go inside, and talk? I'd like to introduce you to my friends. Naruto looks at the others in the group, and B speaks. Yo. Naruto. Good to see you, little buddy. Fyu asks. So you're Naruto, huh? Naruto responds. Yeah, but who are they, Yujiro? Yujiro says. Let's go inside and talk. Okay. The 6 of them walk inside Ichiraku's. As they do, Naruto says. Hey old man. We got visitors. The owner of the stand, Tucci, was working on preparing noodles, and turned around. Yes, I heard company from before he could finish his sentence. He was caught off guard by the people who just stepped into his stand. Well, it's good to see you again, Miss Nai, but it's not every day I see customers like these. Yuguro says. We've been getting that all day. Please, have a seat. Make yourselves comfortable. I'll be right there with you. All of them sit down on the chairs. There were 6 chairs in total, so they were lucky to have 1 seat per person. Gaara sits at the very end to the right, followed by Bee, Yujido, Naruto, Fuyuu, and Han. Fuyuu sniffs. What is that delicious smell? Naruto looks at Fuyuu and smiles. It's the heavenly smell of Ichiraku ramen. Yujido says, you folks have to trust me and Naruto when we say that these will be the best noodles you'll ever eat. Fuyuu smiles. I can hardly wait to try it. Naruto says, yeah. I just ate, but I could eat 10 more bowls of noodles if I could. I don't have much money, though. Yujido says, I'll buy you a bowl of ramen, Naruto. But only one. Naruto looks at Yujido. You do that. Thanks, Yujido. You're awesome. Yujido happily smiles. Oh, it's nothing. After a few minutes the 6 of them receive their bowls of ramen and begin eating. Fuyuu eats the noodles with delight. Man, this ramen is delicious. Yujido happily says. HM. I'd know you like it. Naruto looks at Yujido. So Yujido, what did you want to talk about? Yujido answers. Well, for starters, I wanted you to meet my friends. Bee introduces himself. Killer Bee, in the flesh yo. Followed by Fuyuu. I'm Fuyuu. Nice to meet you, Naruto. Then Han. You can call me Han. Naruto says. Good to meet you all. He then looks at Gaara, who is quiet. What about you? Gaara simply says. Gaara. Naruto says. Okay. He looks at Yujido. Why did you want to introduce them to me? Yujido answers. It's a little bit of a long story. She explains, as the others eat. You see, Naruto, me, and Bee started a mission to look for special people. Those people have gone through a lonely, miserable, or betrayed life. My goal is to reunite those people, to show them that there are others like them who share the same past, for the same reason. All 6 of us, we've gone through that. Sounds cool. Is there anybody here in the leaf you want to find? Yes. He's right next to me. Naruto looks at who was next to Yujido. Who? Killer Bee. He doesn't seem to be from here. Bee says. No, it's you, fool. You fool. Naruto looks at her, and back at Yujido, in confusion. Me? Why me? Yujido explains. Well, Naruto, let me ask you something. What was your childhood like? Naruto thinks about it for a few seconds, then speaks. It was lonely. I'm an orphan, and I don't know what happened to my parents. Everybody looked at me badly, too, as if I was some sort of. He stops. Yujido says. The Hokage told us that last night, you found out something very big about you. Oh, he looks down at his bowl. Yeah, he then comes to a realization. Wait, you said you've all been through the same thing, for the same reason. Does that mean you all have a... Yes, Naruto. All 5 of us are sitting here with you, we're like you. This causes Naruto to widen his eyes, and it even catches Teuchi by surprise. Naruto stutters. You all have a... Igudo finishes his sentence. A demon inside of us. Yes. That's correct. Teuchi was more surprised than Naruto. Having 6 demon containers in his ramen stand. It's insane. In his head, he imagines all 6 of them as silhouettes with glowing red eyes that turn into ferocious beasts and blow up his ramen stand, only to find himself back in the real world, looking at the group having their conversation. Teuchi says in his thoughts. I thought one of them would be fine, but 6, I don't know what will happen when the whole village finds out there's 6 of the demon containers in here. Naruto, on the other hand, was speechless. Seeing 5 more people that were like him, it causes him to give out a bright smile in front of his fellow dog. He yells at Yujido, and immediately hugs her again. If I get to be with a bunch of cool-looking people who are just like me, I'd love to go with you wherever you're taking me. Yujido hugs him in return, and he lets go of her. It's so awesome. Finally. People that can understand me. That's how I feel. That can relate to me. And can maybe even respect me, and start treating me like I'm somebody. Somebody important. He looks at Yujido, I'm going with you guys. It's a chance I can't miss. Gaara says in his thoughts. What an annoying kid. Yujido stops Naruto. Now hold on, Naruto, we would love for you to go with us, as much as you do, but we need to speak to the council of the Leaf Village first. They'll decide whether you can go with us or not. Thankfully, we'll be speaking to the council tonight. Naruto gets a bit frustrated. Man, why can't I just get up and go without their permission? Han says. Because you're property of the Leaf Village. They can't just let a container like you go. Fuyuu jokingly says. Unless you live in my old village. They didn't care at all when I left. Naruto crosses his arms. Well, I wish it was like that for me. Yujido tells him. Don't worry, Naruto. We'll be seeing the council tonight, and when we do, we'll come up with the best and most accurate reason as to why you should come with us. She smiles. Just you wait. Naruto smiles back at her. Thanks, Yujido. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.